Welcome to another episode of the Modern Facilities Management Podcast, brought to you by FlowPath. I'm your host, Griffin Hamilton. This is the show where I interview industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights into modern-day facilities management. From hospitality to commercial real estate and everything in between, we'll learn what it really takes to succeed as a facilities manager. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Facilities Management Podcast. Today, I am pleased to have a guest on that is much smarter than I, who has a title that I am not sure what exactly she does on a day in and day out basis, but Amy Ryan, Chief Circular Economist. Amy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Griffin. Good morning. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Great to see you. So beyond the confusing title, if you want to touch on that and enlighten me and the audience what you do day in and day out, and just to clarify, it is your company. You are the founder of ESG Strategies here, but I'll throw it over to you if you want to give a little explanation on who you are, what exactly you do, and how you got into the industry of facilities management.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Griffin, for the opportunity. I love facilities management because it's the backbone of everything we do within the built environment. I came across this title because of a lot of different types of global work I was doing. It's really relevant on that space. But honestly, it's about how can I help solve your problem? What's the bottleneck? And where does it come from? So say, for example, I'm talking to a DPW department and they're like, yeah, we are stuck here. We're waiting for this part. It's not going to be coming in from Europe for another 3 months. And I'm like, let's figure out a foundry. North America, let's get it done. Canada, we've got NAFTA. We will do whatever we can. So essentially what I do is I'm the friend for facilities management and managers. I understand the complex, stressful, intense environment, very little bottom line, working with people that from all over, depending on sometimes, their English proficiency, but they love what they do and they love the bones of that building. That's my family. I was raised that way, and I will just always honor that craft.
So how did you get into the industry? What is your background? What made you go down this crazy career path that we call facilities management?
And you're right, it's like such a big, wide definition, right? Like, what does facilities management mean? Like, if I spoke about it to a bunch of like economics students or, geez, even psychological, they'd be like, oh, that's the guy that like comes in and fixes my light, right? There's so much more to it. Like if we expect for our rooms to have natural temperature, which is a very small range, by the way, and facilities managers will let you know that it's a nightmare during heating and cooling season shifts. But and I'm in the Northeast. But what really drove me in is my family. All of my family members are machinists. They work in the shop. My grandfather, he's 92, was an original draftsman. So at a foundry, I saw my first foundry pour when I was 8 years old. And even though girls weren't, although I had my dress on, yes, I did. But girls weren't really like, invited to be part of that world. But my dad and my uncles, my grandfathers, they would always talk to me and answer every question I had. So I just knew that I wanted to deal with something big that makes cool things. But I wasn't the person to like do that because I would totally hurt myself. So
It's funny you've described the industry so well because there isn't just a single job description. It is solving problems. It is going in, just being that curious individual that says, okay, here's your business problem. Not, hey, your light is out. Is it a business problem? Here's how I can solve it. Here's how I can get creative and use my resources, usually limited resources, to come up with a solution. So I think you did a great job just describing that.
Thank you. I will go to the ends of the earth to find some of these guys or issues. Like some of them, just the shoestring budget, the amount of stress you can see on their faces. like lack of like they can't get into their internet because they're in the bowels of like the boiler room. There's no repeaters, and I'm just like, okay, this is what you've got, this, and this, and we're going to figure out a way to serpentine right around that and make you successful.
So, and going back to the title again, how did you come up with the title? That I'm genuinely curious, because you're the only person I've ever seen with that title, and it really just made me do a triple take when I was looking at your LinkedIn prior for us actually connecting here.
Thank you. I actually did that on purpose because I'm not the most outwardly, you're not going to see me on tons of videos. I'm very much of a dork. But what I wanted to do was at least create the, what does that mean? I need to at least just ask her, hey, what's going on? And that's kind of my way of going and come in, invite, talk about this. But essentially, I'm a chief bottleneck blower upper.
I think you should change your title on your cards as you go to different conferences and you're meeting with different people, and have that as your official title there. But
Bottleneck buster.
I think we can get really creative with a visual on that as well. But going into ESG, tell me more about that, what you guys specialize in, and what led you to starting your own company doing what you do.
Yeah, thanks. ESG, I think, is a name that may probably fizzle out, but the premise and what it does is so relevant for everything that we do. Unfortunately, the financial sectors really kind of went, oh, this is a way to make money, bucket that, which is fine. I have a degree in business management, but the people that I really beeline towards are the guys that are working in the machines, working in the factories. They are the ones that are making what we have and are grateful for every single day. And so I definitely, just from auditing all across the country and world, all 11 major industries, but I prefer heavy carbon industries like mining, concrete, electrical generation, you name it. Those are the ones where it's just hard work. There was a definite dynamic between their understanding of what climate responsibility is, what the word sustainability means. How does that evolve in their life when they're trying to put food on the table for their family and then yet go to their second job? So it's like I explained to them in a way that I would just as much as a family member in Newcomb, New York, population 10. Which is, I am doing this for you. I'm doing this for your family. I'm doing this because I love the bones of the building just as much as you. And there's a lot of BS that gets in the way, that people don't understand how you're feeling. They don't feel your passion. I can help be that facilitator.
And a key word you threw out there was sustainability. And that is something where I think a lot of marketing departments love that word.
They
do. But I guess tell me a little bit more about sustainability and how it ties into facilities management. We can start out high level when we really drill down into the details there, because again, I think that there's just an idea of, oh yes, sustainability, that's great, let's do it.
Totally. No, yeah, you're right. And I almost feel like, oh, this word sustainability within the FM world, it just is like just not gonna fly. But the guys are already doing it. The ladies that are maintaining this equipment are already doing it. They've got the PM schedule. They know when they need to change the oil, the lubricant. They know if something's going on. They know that if there's a machine that's broken, it needs to be cleaned. And so they know that there's, steps to take care of that. I think what hasn't been provided to the FM community is a way to approach this from a perspective that they can do, that they feel, oh yeah, I own this. I can totally do this. And don't stick me with a recycling program and a senior in college that's totally motivated. Don't get me wrong, but is just not jiving with my normal flow of work orders coming in and emergencies. And then the president wants to meet and this and this and so I think having a lens into the multitude of responsibilities that these people manage every single day. And I'm sorry, the word sustainability has been tainted terribly from like DC down south, including out west. Actually, up here too. No one really likes it, but so we got to noodle on that. What works best for the FM community? And I'm not the right answer, but I want the guys to know that this is for them. This is to take care of the life of the built environment, which also includes themselves as people, as fathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, you name it.
Mm-hmm. And what is interesting, and there you go. Yeah, we can't leave out half the demographic there as well. But taking a step back and what a facilities manager does day in and day out. I mean, you are using all these different tools, and I've had conversations in the past on the different data points we're collecting across the built environment, and now you're proving your point on what you're doing day in and day out that ties into sustainability there. So,
yes.
I mean, I'll throw it over to you because there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, and I think they need to be empowered to know that what they are doing is so critical as it relates to the environment and whom they report to. What is the readings off of certain types of panels that will be telling you the amount of air being collected? How's the filters working? Do they need to be changed? Maybe not really. They can go another 2 weeks or so. We'll see. The guy's on back order for 3 months. Or, there's a split in the wire, but it's not huge. Perfect for some electrical taping. Get it down. It's hanging. Let's get it out of the way. So these little teeny adjustments that they learn to work with, MacGyvering is a real thing. I've done it in the field with groundwater. You don't want to know what I've taken out of groundwater wells. But but the thing is, they're ingenuitive. They're designing ways that are going to be allowing them to produce that data point, which the quote unquote higher ups need to put into their, numbers to being calculate. But there's a trust there. There's a trust meaning, okay, we've got this guy out in the field or running an operation to a corporate space or just their own HVAC equipment company, they are collecting this information. Are they collecting all the information? Usually there's a set sheet. But who has the time to help them go, hey, that you need to collect this, this, and this? These are things that if we're given to them and shown them how to do it and then show them how to transfer the information without getting annoyed at people with the responses and the answers and the questions, I don't understand this type of thing, I feel will help the facilities folks that are on the ground, front lines every day, working their asses off, to show how important their front lines for climate responsibility as it relates to the built environment. Bar none, hands down. They need to know how amazing they are.
And on that, I mean, again, going back to the different data points that you can collect,
yeah.
I don't know if you've had more experience with someone with an established program and you're tweaking and helping them along the way, or just from the ground up. But where could someone begin? I mean, what should someone be doing to at least have that solid foundation to, go forth with the actions that you're speaking of?
Definitely. There's a huge discrepancy too, right? You've got like your big corporates, Aramark, Sodexo, Compass. And just full disclosure, I did work for Aramark in this space for a while, not anymore. But it helped me understand what tools are available to those guys and gals, but there's really not a lot of gals, that are able to help them, they think, designed in a way to, get the data pull. Problem is that facilities managers are running nonstop and phone calls. And so when it's delivered that way, the first thing is like, what? Is this something new? Do I need to learn how to do this? Who do I talk to? Who am I supposed was, just immediate, because they're checkbox. They want to get this thing going. That's their jam. And so I would sit down and break it down and be like, all right, let's see if we can combine these two together. Let's put it in a calendar into your CMMS. Make it a PM so it just pops up. You do your thing. And they're like, oh, but I don't want to write forever. It's fine. Honestly, it's the operational metrics. When did your system come on? How much is your system collecting? What's the levels of Freon? Did you notice if there's any type of leaks going on? You should alarm anyway, depending on the environment. Or if you have a really poorly duct taped together functioning facility, you are like, I don't know where to start. This little just a little bit of a framework and a friendly voice that can help walk you through that really does a lot. And I had to do that with folks that just were like, I just got to this count. Their English may not be great. They may feel pressure from the other older guy that's been there for 1,000 years and they want to do well. There's a major cultural clash going on, old versus new. So I'm the one that will grease the wheels because I don't get really offended by that.
Well, you do have to have thick skin in this industry. That is certain there. Well, and let's take a step back and look at it high level. So you could go in and create, the foundation of, this program. But I always like to, what's the why? Explain the why of this. And so taking a stab at that, what is, if you could wrap it up into a single why we're doing this with regards to sustainability, what is that?
Why is one, for their happiness, their quality of life. They are going home to families at the end of the day. Last thing I want them to be there is if their shift starts at 6, they're still there at 9. They have small kids. Some of them are baseball coaches, softball coaches. There's more to our life than just the work environment. But what I'm asking them to capture, though, is going to transcend work. They're going to start thinking about it in their normal life, and they're going to start just being slowly aware. Depending on where you are in the country, there's certain areas in the country you have to go about it a little slower than others, and that's okay. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
and
that's the why. Is I want to see them successful. I want to see them, because they're the ones that are going to be the hardest nut to crack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you brought up a really good point earlier as far as this we've called it the Great Resignation, right? Where we're going to lose half of our workforce in the field, and we don't have the backfill options there. So looking at where we're at right now and where we're going, talk to me about that clash that you alluded to, and then just like the future of the industry in your eyes.
I think the clash started I'd say about 10 years ago when CMMS and BIM were really starting to try to ramp up their online presence, right? And BIM was something that totally freaked out everyone because that required time off, a guy dedicated to it, walking around the facility and shooting this laser thing that sometimes worked, sometimes didn't work. But anyway, I think the clash is that all the solutions right now seem to be tech focused, meaning that's the easy part, right? Oh, we'll give you a prettier system. We'll do the algorithms and the changes of all of that. But there's an issue because that means you're immediately trusting what's in the system as being accurate. I can tell you through multiple versions of different types of homegrown systems, Excel spreadsheets to the fancy ones. This is the crux of the problem. No one's given the facilities managers and support team, especially the boiler operations team, water quality team, how and why it's important. They've never been empowered. They've been do this, submit it by this. If not, my ass is in trouble, and then we'll have to talk. Like, how do you learn and understand and carry those very critical importance that you need to carry with your family? It's not conducive learning environment. People don't learn well under pressure.
And on that is, how, if this isn't being taught properly and this transition that we're referring to, this great resignation, it's important to, crucial for every building that we're in to document, here's what we're doing to make that transition easier. And you never know what's going to happen if you're walking outside and you're like, what, I'm going to retire tomorrow because I'm done. And I'm sure that happens, and that company or that building is just kind of left like, okay, well, I wish we would have documented this more, and now we have 4 days to brain dump for 8 hours a day to hopefully, get all this right information.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, there's many buildings that are left neglected a lot longer than that. 4 days is a luxury. It's you're not sleeping. It's sometimes if you're starting up a new operation, it's 18 hours plus getting that system in, because it's a nightmare. You got a set system, you're putting in something else. You know the drill. But I think what is really important is during that time, there's really not a good conversation between what's going on with the people on the team that are doing the work. Like, they're actually maintaining the equipment, or they're the custodial team taking care of what they need to. You see that shift, and then you see that shift, say, for example, in higher ed or K through 12. These students see this, and they're like, what's going on here? And so I was the smoother over. I would see the stress going on. I would be the intermediary, because it's communication. And people in facilities management are very parochial if you make it to management piece. But the guys that are working it either do it because they love it. They did it in the military, a work release program, depending on what state you're in, and that's totally something that they should be enabled to do. These guys don't have a lot of confidence. The English may not be may not be their strongest suit. They may be working 3 jobs, but they're the ones that are responsible for ensuring that that fire alarm system is going to actually work and call the fire department. You could have something nice and not connected to the fire department. Seen that a lot in Manhattan. These little pieces of, oh, right, I need to do that. Mm-hmm. That's not very, the facilities managers, I felt, really never give an opportunity besides the one head honcho to really talk about it. And if it's a union environment, people are scared of unions. No, just talk to them.
And on that note, document what you're saying and what you're learning to make that transition easier. I wish that were as common as it should be, but unfortunately, it's not as common as we would like.
We're a litigious society. Everybody wants to everybody wants to get a lawsuit going. And yes, when you're talking to union folks, document that. But it's honestly for them, so they can be like, "This is what we did," da 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 da. But I'm here to just break the paradigm in their head. And that's going to take a while, and it can't just be me. It needs to be other folks.
Yeah, and
that are able
just
to do it.
As a whole, as an industry, that being something we're all pushing ahead in the same direction. And I think it starts out with talking to folks like yourself of just, here is what we should be thinking about. Let's get away from that day in and day out grind, and begin with the end in mind is one of my favorite sayings out there. And I think as an industry, that is something that isn't, like I said, happening on a frequent basis. And we do need to change that, where what we're doing today, we need to be looking at very far ahead and see the payoff that it is going to return here. It is going to take some time, but we do have to at least take those actions today to set up for a successful tomorrow.
Not a question. The most sobering thing is to have to do fatality investigations of a father or a mother, of family members. These sites are building us the components of everyday life. When you lose a life and you talk about what OSHA requires, and you see how little it is in terms of what family members need to heal, it really brings it home. This is something people are putting their lives on for. You can come across a 480 volt that's uncovered, that's still fully charged. Arc flash only is thought about from the FM guys, or the occasional dork that has a cell phone. But, I think that piece needs to be very well articulated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Amy, I appreciate you coming on today. I do have one question I ask everybody, and that is, who or what has had the biggest impact on you and your career?
So, personal or professional?
I think, and I was going to say at the very beginning, you kind of nailed it from the personal side with your family and just your upbringing and the environment there. So we'll make it professional here.
I am a humongous fan of Clary von Neumann. She was the wife of John von Neumann, who was the one that created the software code to start computing. He was also the one that created the calculations for the nuclear bomb back in the 40s, and it was crazy. But it was his wife, Clary, who was the first person to translate all these mathematical equations into binary software code that we use today. And what I just found out is they called it the Monte Carlo method, because that's where they met and fell in love. So I think, wow, we are computing all based on Clary's capability, and no one knows her. So
It is a shame, and that is an answer I could assure you that no one else is going to have that response to that question. So thank you for educating all of us here today. But Amy, once again, thanks for taking the time to come on. This has been great. I'm going to put in the show notes where folks could find you and what you guys are doing. And if they have any questions, they can certainly reach out. But once again, Amy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Thank you so much, Griffin. Yes, startups, all those guys, we help out. Just all you have to do is ask. And I hope to see you again, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll have to do this again soon.
Great. Have a good rest of the week. Don't forget to vote.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even call that out. Yes, today is election day. If you're listening to this and it's not, I hope you voted. If you didn't, shame on you. Do it next time.
Well, infrastructure's on the ballot. Literally, your pipes, everything. Let's do it.
Yep, absolutely. But Amy, once again, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Take care, Griffin. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Modern Facilities Management Podcast. Make sure to subscribe for future episodes and follow us on LinkedIn for more facilities management content.